KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rompa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what is going on, internet wrestling fans? This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. This is episode 91 on February 24th, 2022. Make sure you guys head on over to Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube right now, where we're at, streaming this live. You'll get the notifications if you hit that little subscribe bell. If you smash or hit the notification bell, smash the subscribe button, do all the stuff that the kids tell you to do on the YouTube there. Lock it in. You can hang out with us, pop up in the chat, ask some questions, hang out, and be a part of the podcast as we talk about, well, professional wrestling in all its glory and whatever it is we decide to talk about that evening. But before we dive into professional wrestling, let's kick it over to Mr. Eric Todd. Eric, what is happening in your world?
Oh, you know, same old. Only a couple days went by since we did our last podcast. We podcasted on Sunday, so it's only been a couple days. In the meantime, I picked up one of those fancy iPad Pro 12.9 inches from the old Sam's Club there. And then nothing to do with wrestling, but just a little timestamp on our timeline here. Russia is in the process of invading and taking over Ukraine right now. So that is all over every channel. News is running at 24/7. Craziness going on over in Europe.
Yeah, I hope we can all get that straightened out and everybody can go apart living normal lives and nobody has to die. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't keep up on the news, so I have no idea why they're going to war. Clearly, they don't like each other for whatever reasons, but I am terrible with current events. Professional wrestling, I can talk about. Current events in the world, I got nothing.
Well, just long story short, I was telling my son, shine up your draft card because who the fuck knows what's going to go on. Because you got Vladimir Putin trying to take over Ukraine because he wants the USSR back. Everybody in the world is saying, we're going to fuck you up if you take over Ukraine. And Putin's like, hey, man, I got nukes. So when you start hearing stuff like that.
No, I know it's serious, but like I just didn't know the details. Like it all kind of happened real fast. They're like, after the Olympics, there's going to be a war. It's scheduled. It's right here. You can see it in the paper.
When they start talking about dropping nukes and shit, it's just like, oh, damn, I'm glad I'm 40. Y'all can't draft me.
Nope, but we can still get smoked by a nuke. But other than that, yeah,
quick and easy, just the way I like it.
So, moving on from world news, do we have any professional wrestling news?
We do. We got a little bit of news. It's very skewed. It's almost a theme of news this week, Brian. So go ahead and hit that ticker, and then we'll get right into it.
Eric's got a theme of news that he scoured the professional wrestling dirt sheets, and knowing him, probably read it. I couldn't think of it at time, but yes, he has probably hit all the Reddits. Here we go. Let's see what the news is.
All right, we're going to get this one out of the way. This one doesn't fit the theme, but we're going to do it anyway. And hell, it doesn't even have to do with professional wrestling, Brian, besides the fact that it involves Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dwayne Johnson announced via his Twitter on Monday that the XFL is officially collaborating with the NFL. The whole idea about the XFL-NFL collaboration is to grow the game of football, a game we all love, a game we are all passionate about. As an XFL owner, as you guys know, my number one priority will always be the players and creating more opportunities for them. Johnson concluded, adding, we're just getting started. So Dwayne Johnson just recently putting in his stake as an owner in the NXL, or what do I keep saying? In XFL.
You keep wanting to say like NXT, I believe.
That's what it is. Just put his stake in an XFL, and he's already doing more than old Vinnie Mac could maintain.
Yeah, so what is this collaboration going to be? Is this like a college type thing where they can draft people from the XFL? Like, so they can bring them from college to the XFL or whatever they don't draft right to the NFL, they can bring up, and then they can draft from that? Is that like a multi-step situation? They explain any of the details?
No details have really been put out there, but what I'm imagining and what I hope it is almost like the G League for the NBA, where the G League, you can go straight from high school to the G League. It's a developmental, it's just like NXT.
Sure.
And then you can get drafted from there. And then also kind of like a minor league. If you're not doing so hot in the NBA and you need a little polishing, they send you down to the G League. So I'm imagining this has something to do with that.
So, yeah, some multi-step situation. If you don't make it there, if you don't make it right to the NFL, you can go here. If there, you can go up or you can go back down. I always thought that was the best opportunity. You're not going to take on the NFL. I'm not a football guy, and I know that. You're not going to take on the NFL, but you can partner with the NFL and work together with the NFL. That's the only way you're going to survive in something like this. So, there you go. The Rock taking on partners with the NFL.
And then moving on to the theme of the week, Brian, is contracts. It's all about contracts this week on the KayFabe Smark podcast. First things first, AJ Styles has reportedly signed a new multi-year deal with WWE. His current contract wasn't set to expire until spring or summer. WWE jumped the gun and got that boy signed before he could even talk to anybody else. AJ is reportedly, it doesn't say how many years the deal is, but he's reportedly making about $3 million a year, and he's going to have some of his bus travel accommodation paid for. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if AJ, is he afraid to fly?
I don't know. Or maybe he travels with his family. I know he's got wife and kids and stuff, so it might be easier to do that and just go to sleep and wake up. You sleep on a big-ass comfy bus, and you wake up the next day, and you're there. It's like time travel.
Sounds like a pretty good deal. And a source in WWE is saying AJ Styles is worth every penny of $3 million a year.
I think he's worth it. I don't know if he's being used for it, but I think he's worth it.
Yeah. And then in other contract news, Brian Cage will be staying with AEW after all. AEW had an option on the end of his 2-year contract. It was expected that they would just let Brian Cage go after that 2-year contract, but AEW decided to extend his contract by 1 year. So basically nothing will change. We'll probably see him about the same amount as we do now.
Yeah, like he just left. I don't know if he's doing any of the YouTube, their other shows, but he hasn't been on Dynamite, and I can't tell you how long. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know anything. He just disappeared.
Yeah, so that contract expired. I think everybody just expected to see a Cage, see you in TNA or whatever.
Yeah, Ring of Honor.
Yeah. And then finally, our last contract story of the week here. Cesaro has been under contract with the WWE for 10 years. His contract recently expired quietly. Cesaro just kind of slipped out the back door there. Cesaro is officially a free agent. His contract expired, so he is not subject to the normal 90-day non-compete clause. Cesaro, as of right now, is free to go wherever he pleases.
Well. Where do you think? Do you think you see him pop up in AEW? Do you think he's just going to take some time off? What do you think?
I think Tony Khan needs to chase him down and sign him. I know Tony Khan's been signing everybody under the damn sun. Spoiler alert, Buddy Murphy just showed up this week. Keith Lee showed up a couple weeks ago. I believe it's rumored Swerve Scott's going to be over in AEW soon. But Cesaro is one of those top guys that you just can't let go. You can't let him just fly off in the wind. And hopefully AEW can go to hold of Chris Hero in the same time and get the original Kings of Wrestling back together.
Yeah. I mean, there's the possibility Ring of Honor is getting ready to kickstart something back up too. If they're going to kind of get this going again, they might, grab Cesaro up. He floated through there with the Kings of Wrestling and Chris Hero, so who knows? They might be able to do that just to grab some eyeballs. Who knows what they put together? Maybe they have a TV deal in the works that they're going to announce at their, first pay-per-view back after they're shut down. So there's a couple options out there, but I just don't see him not wrestling. I would hate to see that. I don't know what kind of acting chops he's got, or if he's just going to go work at a grocery store. But I think he should be wrestling somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. And with that, like I said, it's only been a couple days since our last show. That is a wrap on the news. So slap that ticker one more time, unless you got something to add.
I don't. That's the end of the news. Contracts, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Well, hell, he's going to be signing contracts for the XFL, so it's all about contracts this week. And that is the KayFabe Smark news. And ladies and gentlemen, I hit the wrong button. Now we are good. It is time for
Let's Play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
That's right, overrated, underrated. Eric Todd. We are going to do non-wrestling officials, meaning they're in wrestling, but they don't wrestle. You get what I'm saying here. So these would be your presidents of the WWF, the WWE. These would be your general managers and such of the like there. Kicking it off first, non-wrestling official, overrated or underrated, Jack Tunney.
Immediately, when you said non-wrestling officials, Jack Tunney is the first one that popped into my mind. And, I don't know too much about Jack Tunney besides his WWE stuff. He had some sort of history in wrestling, I believe, before that.
As far as I understood, it was a Canadian wrestling thing. Like, he was, involved in some type of Canadian promotion.
But, in WWE, WWF, whatever you want to call it, when Jack Tunney was there, he was just an official motherfucker, man. He made decisions, and we always went to Jack Tunney to make a huge decision, and I respected him as an authority figure. So I don't think Jack Tunney gets enough recognition. He is underrated.
Yeah, Jack Tunney was always now you look back at it and you're like, that was just Vince's way of not being the guy. So he could just play dumb commentator and be like, oh, that guy said so. So pretty funny. Overrated, underrated, non-wrestling official, Eric Bischoff. And you can do Eric Bischoff all over the board, from WCW, TNA, WWE, all of them in there of Eric Bischoff's non-wrestling commitments to wrestling.
Oh man, Bischoff is just all over the place. There's some aspects where he is such an icon and he was such an innovator in changing the game and how things were done, and it worked for the good, but then his same tactics in different situations worked to almost decimate companies at that point, talking about particularly WCW. But nowadays I would say he's a little overrated. I think a lot of it was maybe right place, right time, right attitude. And but right now, a couple years ago, a year or two ago, WWE brought him in to be the head shit over in SmackDown or Raw, one of them, and nothing got any better. Who knows if his power was just, kind of dulled out by Vince himself. But I think Eric Bischoff is a little overrated.
Little overrated. I love Eric Bischoff, but, he had the checkbook of Mr. Ted Turner in his back pocket. He could throw a lot of money around and do a lot of things that at the end of the day didn't affect him the same way it affected Vince McMahon. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's a little different. Overrated, underrated, non-wrestling officials. Teddy Long. Playa. You're going to face The Undertaker tonight.
Teddy Long could do it all, man. Referee, manager, general manager, you name it, Teddy Long excelled at it. And man, every time he was on screen, I I loved it. I'm being honest with you. I love me some Teddy Long, and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. He is underrated.
All right, here we go. Overrated, underrated, non-wrestling official. We got to go back to the presidents here. President of the WWF, I believe one of the last ones, Gorilla Monsoon.
Nobody can touch Gorilla. Nobody can touch his blue tinted sunglasses, and nobody can touch Gorilla's exaggerations of how big and tall people or objects were. Gorilla, hell of a talent back in the day as a performer, but yeah, as a president of WWE, he was the man, underrated all the way.
Last one, can't skip this one. You see it coming probably clear as day. Overrated, underrated, non-wrestling official, Mr. McMahon.
Oh, Vinnie Mac. He changed the game. He made it okay with his interactions with Steve Austin and The Rock and the whole Attitude Era. Vince made everyone's dreams come true of watching the little guy spit right in his boss's face. And the things Vince did, there's no way anybody could say he's overrated. He completely changed the game. Now he stinks, though. 76-year-old Vince stinks. Get him off TV.
Now he stinks. And that's overrated, underrated, non-wrestling officials. And, well, I believe this week, per usual, we're going to get right back into our swing of things and talk AEW and their Wednesday Night Dynamite edition that just passed last night. And I believe Eric usually just leads us right through the dance here. So let's start it off with what kicked us off first here, Eric.
All right, Brian. We're going to start things off. Before we kick it off, I was on Reddit, and the fans on Reddit are the worst wrestling fans ever. So many of them were talking about how this is one of the best episodes of Dynamite they've ever seen. And there are some reasons. There were some really good parts of this week's episode of Dynamite, but as an episode, the booking for the wrestling was kind of terrible, and that gets pointed out right away because we are starting out with the ring being completely surrounded by tag teams. We are getting into the Battle Royal qualifier tag team contender tournament thing because there's going to be two of them back-to-back Battle Royals. So number one was tonight.
Yeah, this was exhausting. So we start out with, I don't know, what was there, 10 tag teams maybe? I don't even know the number.
All 20 guys in the ring
Sure.
at once.
Nobody got an entrance. And I get that there's only so much time on a show. There's only so many minutes in 2 hours, right? With commercials and everything else, everything's limited. But, man, you don't think you would give the Bucks, and love them or hate them, they're the Young Bucks, it's AEW. You don't give the Young Bucks an entrance. Maybe give Young Bucks FTR an entrance. You know, something pretty quick, at least hit the music. And then, this isn't even in the beginning because I didn't even know they were there until about halfway through it. The tag team champions, do you remember who they are? They were there. They didn't even get an entrance to come out and sit in the chairs while they watched the match. So Jungle
they
Boy
got music. They did get music.
Oh, they did? I must have just missed that part or whatever. So I missed that, but nonetheless, so I apologize about that, jumping the gun and making them eat shit on that. I apologize and I'll eat this shit.
Yeah, but still, that's even worse, Brian. We have 20 tag teams in this ring for this battle royal, and the one tag team that gets music and a somewhat half-ass entrance aren't even in the goddamn match. They're just sitting in office chairs on the ramp.
Yeah, it was just a weird setup and a weird start to it. I don't understand. There's two of these things, so they're going to run through one. Last night they ran through one. They're going to run through one next week. And then those two teams are going to fight at the pay-per-view or before the pay-per-view to fight the tag team champions?
No, I think it is a 3-way tag team championship match.
Oh, wow.
So the winner of this one and the winner of next week's takes on the Dinosaur Express.
Why would the
at
tag team
Revolution.
champions sign up for such a thing? Now you've got 4 men that want to kill 2 of you. The odds are stacked against the champions.
Yeah, and that's I guess point number 1 of how this evening of wrestling was completely botched when it comes to booking.
If you ask me, it should have been 2 battle royals to find 2 teams. Then at the pay-per-view, those 2 teams fight, and the winning team is rewarded with fighting the champion, where the champion gets the champion's advantage coming in to defend their title against the winner of that tag team match. So just say
but there's only
yeah.
one more episode of Dynamite happening before the pay-per-view, though.
No, I know, but it would be at the pay-per-view. Like at the show, the 2 teams fight, bam, and then boom, here you go, gauntlet style, here's your tag team champions.
All right, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing right here, the just awkwardness and just strangeness of things that happened in this match. Blade, fairly early into the match, from the Butcher and the Blade fame, eliminates Alex Reynolds and then just stands in the ring flexing for a very long and uncomfortable amount of time because he has to wait for that idiot Johnny Hungy to run behind him and throw him out of the ring. It was so painfully obvious that he was just waiting and waiting and waiting, and Hungy finally catches his cue and throws him out.
Yeah, there was a couple times where this happened, and audibles were not called in this at all. They were like, this is my spot, and this is what I do. He didn't turn around to, like, taunt somebody and then just yell, Johnny, get over, throw me out and call the thing. I'll just stand here.
Stood there. Waiting for him.
Yeah.
And then we get the ass boys in the mix.
Them ass boys.
Billy Gunn's kids. One of the ass boys eliminates his brother by mistake by holding the rope down. And now he is standing at the ropes for a very awkward amount of time while we have Santana standing right behind him, smiling, goofing off to the camera, flexing, pointing before he throws out the one of the ass boys, the other ass boy that wasn't eliminated yet. And this would be all fine and dandy. The ass boy was trying to explain himself while Santana was goofing off. If it wasn't for the fact that their father, Billy Gunn, was staring at him the entire time.
Yeah, you're not going
to indication to tell your idiot kid to turn around.
Anybody, if Eric, you're not my idiot kid, and I would be like, hey, there's a guy with a painted face behind you. You may want to just turn around.
Nope. No indication whatsoever. Mr. Ass just watched his ass son get thrown over the top rope.
There was a couple of these, and they kicked them off fast with 2, like, okay, you guys aren't in long. We need to get through some people here. And then the weird thing is, too, which I'm up and down on this. So if one member of your team gets eliminated, the other one is still in the match and can still represent your team.
And that happened just for the booking of the match.
Well, I think
you'll see as you go on what we end up with. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why that rule was put into place.
It happens so you can get rid of 10 guys really fast and then have a 10-man battle royal where it's easier to do things.
Right. And by the time this idiot Johnny Hungy spot with the Blade and the ass boy spot happens with Santana, we're only 3 minutes in at that point, and shit's already just falling apart. Other than that, it's just normal battle royal rules, just people goofing off, getting their spots in, throwing each other out. And then at one point, Tony Schiavone just completely lost. I quote Schiavone here, "We have all complete teams in the ring with the exception of Santana." Excrement immediately points out that John Silver is in the ring without his tag team partner. And while he's pointing that out, we see Trent Beretta walking around without his tag team partner. So Schiavone just not even paying attention at this point. He's on them Jim Ross pills.
Not even paying attention. He's just like, so I'll just say something here. I should say something. I haven't said something in 10 minutes.
And this right here, there's no way a functioning adult has booked this match. Like, it has to be a 10-year-old. It has to be Brody Jr. or somebody, because this Trent Beretta spot, Brian, Trent Beretta gets thrown over the top rope, and he's hanging like Ricky Steamboat in 1987. And right on time, right in the perfect spot, while Trent Beretta is hanging, Orange Cassidy slithers out from underneath the ring, stands up perfectly to put Beretta on his shoulders, puts his stupid sunglasses on, and helps him back into the ring. And it's just, how are we supposed to believe this at all? So Orange Cassidy, A, he's just hiding under the ring the entire time. B, knows Trent Beretta when exactly he gets tossed out, and he knows exactly where he's at, and he's just going to get out and
be there.
Be there.
Yeah.
It goes back to what I've said before. This is supposed to be a wrestling company, but wrestling is down here. Wrestling is ranked 2 or 3 in this company. Comedy is number 1.
Right. They even shit on the WWE for being World Wrestling Entertainment and putting entertainment first. But these guys are going entertainment too. They can't deny it.
Right. You can't tell me that having Orange Cassidy hide under the ring and pop out at the exact time in the exact place, that has anything to do with wrestling.
No.
That's them just attempting to be entertaining.
Yeah, and to even top that off, the lead-in to, I don't even remember who threw Beretta over the ropes, but, like, why wouldn't you just everything is followed through so much in professional wrestling. You know, you follow the spot through, you follow the clothesline through, you're watching your opponent. So you just assume your opponent went over? Like,
and just walk away.
Walk away. Like, why would you just stand there? All you had to do is kick his fingers. My 6-year-old could have got him out at that point. He just tickled his armpits and he'd have fell. If you want to go for humor, go for that, where somebody comes up and tickles Trent. Tickles his armpits.
And then he falls off the ropes. That would have been funnier than the idiot Orange Cassidy popping out. And what we talked about earlier with the stupid rules where both members have to get eliminated happened so that this could happen, Brian. Cash Wheeler is eliminated by Johnny Hungy, and we are conveniently left with one member of 6 different teams.
Yeah.
We have one member of the Bucks, FTR, Proud and Powerful, the Best Friends, the Dork Order, and Red Dragon. One of each.
One of each. Who'd have thought? Wow, big surprise. Like, again, that's just what I was saying. It was just they did this rule to step it down real quick. And that way they just have this thing going on. I thought they might have left 1 or 2 tag teams complete in there just to set them off as having a, quote, advantage in the situation.
Right. This thing was the most lazily booked battle royal I've ever seen. So, yeah, you got that very obvious, very overly convenient one guy left for each one. And then, for some reason, Brian, when did that street fight with all those shitty cars with their lights on happen? That was a year and a half ago, something like that.
Oh yeah, that street fight thing with Santana and Ortiz. That was like the first time I saw them actually paint their face. When they did that thing with Beretta and that whole gimmick.
Yeah, and that had to have been over a year ago.
Oh, well over, yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, the agent of this match wanted to see Beretta and Santana get into a short, full-on match and bring up the fact that they were in a street fight together. So in order to make that dream come true, the other 4 guys just have to lay on the mat and play dead so that we can get a match between Beretta and Santana. And they're doing full-on spots and not pen attempts, but fuck, they might as well at this point. They're going full-on match, and then they just both out of nowhere get eliminated by Road Warrior Buck and Kyle O'Reilly.
Road Warrior. Yeah, that was just AEW's famous for that, for bringing up a moment that has clearly passed by, and they're like,
Nobody remembers that match.
Remember the last time these two got their hands on each other? No. No, I guess that we're talking about that? We're going to go back to something from 2020? All right, sure, sounds good, guy.
And we're going to shit on the rest of the competitors of this match and just tell them to lay down so that we can get this random spat in the middle of the ring. It just...
Cool
it was
story.
just such ADD booking. Yeah. And then we're just moving on to more shit that doesn't make sense, Brian. So at one point, Dax Harwood and Kyle O'Reilly, they both end up going over the top rope and they're on the ring apron. They spend the next 2 full minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Kicking and punching each other on the ring apron
But
with multiple opportunities to just get back in the ring.
why they weren't, I can have a skirmish on the apron. They're out there. But the point should be, I'm pulling you, you're pulling me, but I'm trying to get in while you're trying to get in. You should be trying to get back in the ring.
They were just punching and kicking for the hell of it.
No, we're just going to fight out here and put people in submission holds.
Yeah, and there was so many downtime. There was so many breaks between their kicking and punching and submissions and suplexes and whatnot that there was so many openings for them to get back into the ring. And then you remember, oh yeah, they're just fighting on the apron so the spot can happen.
Right.
So that Bobby Fish can run by and eliminate Dax Harwood.
Yeah, and they even led you to believe that was going to happen by showing Bobby Fish earlier, kind of like chilling on the outside of the ring, like laying on the floor and stuff, and you're like, oh, he's still out there. Don't know if we were supposed to see him or not, but I noticed him, and then within 10 minutes or so of that, me noticing him out there, chop blocks the old Dax, and bada boom, he's eliminated. Cool. You just knew something was going to happen, right? It was just them. You're like, okay, whether you knew he was out there or not, Bobby Fish, but these two on the apron were leading you going, somebody here is going to get shit on and get eliminated.
Because if they weren't, they would have got back in the ring like normal human beings who were trying to win a match.
Exactly. Where the object is to go over the rope and not touch the floor. So, yes, it was just like fill in the blanks. Right down the line, this happens, and we're done. And they should have just
it was just a list of spots.
And then they could have handed it to the crowd, and the crowd could have went, okay, Act 2, Scene 3, Bobby Fish it will eliminate Dax Harwood. It's right here. It's going to happen here in a moment. Kids, watch! Watch over there. This is just so people don't miss the eliminations, is why they do that. They hand it out so you and your family know where to watch when watching a live event, because it's been reported that it's hard to watch a live event. People don't know what to look at. There's so much going on. AEW just hands out the results so you don't miss anything. Oh, we can go get popcorn here. The pin isn't going to be for 15 more minutes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the way this thing was booked. The best part of this match happened right here. This was actually a decently booked thing here, even though you saw it coming from a mile away. We are down to Johnny Hungy, Matt Jackson, and Kyle O'Reilly. Kylo feigning a shoulder injury and motioning for his teammate in a off-putting kind of way to eliminate Johnny Hungy. The second Johnny Hungy gets out of the ring, Kylo just shoots Matt Jackson right over the top rope. It's a wrap. It's a backstab. And Red Dragon is your first team in this triple tag team tournament title match.
Trio timeline. It's like going to Chili's. Can I get the trio combo, please? I will choose a 1 Young Buck, 2 Red Dragons. I hate when people go into that whole backstabbed me. What were you supposed to do? So if he didn't eliminate him, so now you've got Young Buck and Red Dragon staring at each other. One is just supposed to hop over the top rope and go, well, I'm your friend.
That's the thing. They don't book the shit beyond the spot. it's a big screw over and backstab. But what would have happened if Kylo didn't backstab Matt Jackson?
He was supposed to just jump out for Matt Jackson, just eliminate himself. Like that's the way it makes it seem, right? That one of them was just gonna, or that it was gonna be a fair fight, and that's okay. We're gonna be.
It was never booked. The page was never written, so we can't even. They didn't even bother getting that far. But either way, Red Dragon wins, and now they're arguing with the Young Bucks. Adam Page comes out to the ring. He has nothing to do with any fucking tag team disputes whatsoever. So yeah, Adam Page, full of piss and vinegar, makes his way to the ring, beats up Red Dragon. The Bucks dip out. Adam Cole rushes the ring, and Adam Page goes ahead and shits all over him too.
Well, now did you watch last week's Dynamite? Did you miss it?
I watched about 3/4 of it.
Okay. The reason Adam Page comes out is because Adam Cole challenges him to a championship match at the pay-per-view. I forget what they're calling it. Revolution. The Revolution will be televised. And she says, I'm going to shake your hand and I respect you and yada, yada, yada. Well, after Adam Cole gets out of the ring and he shakes his hand and they agree to the match, who comes out from the crowd? Red Dragon.
That's
and they
right.
jump.
I did see that part.
They jump Adam Page. Sorry, too many Adams here. They jump Page and beat the cowboy shit out of him. And there you go. So now this week he's mad at him, and that's why he comes out and unleashes holy hell on him. But in that same thing, he looks at the Bucks, who Adam Cole was like, the Bucks haven't said your name. The Dark Order isn't around you anymore. So now the Bucks back away. They don't do anything. They're like, hey, take your shots. Do what you got to do. We're out of here. And Dark Order sticks around. So everybody kind of building upon this Adam Cole, Adam Page pay-per-view match. That's where all that stems from. Makes a little bit of sense.
Yep. And Adam Page
Yep.
keeping things going with the Adam Cole feud, sets up a chair, decides it's story time, and he goes and tells an anecdotal story about he and Adam Page, and Adam Page getting put in a coffin or a hole in the ground. And my favorite part of Adam Page's promo was Bobby Fish just heckling him the entire time. I don't think he knew he was that close to a microphone because he was way louder than he should have been during that promo.
I did like, who's ready for story time with Adam Page, baby? Like, that was pretty funny because, knocking out Adam Cole's gimmick, he carried that a little bit. The story was a little long and twisted. Not twisted as in, like, dark and, like, twisted. It was just like when my 7-year-old tells me a story, and you're like, and then I had a dream, and then I could fly, and then everybody's head turned into a bowl of spaghetti, and then I woke up in a field, and you're like, I don't know, I got dizzy from this.
Yeah, and Adam Page just jumping on everyone's gimmick. He's got the Bay, and then he's talking about holes in the ground, and later on we see a tombstone. So it's like Adam Page is stealing everybody's shit this week.
Jock and Styles.
And then we shoot backstage, and we got Bryan Danielson. He's cutting a promo on Danny Garcia, and just hyping up our match, our main event that we will see later on tonight.
That exhausted me when I heard that was going to be our main event. Like, really?
Yeah.
This is what we get for our main event? Cherry Garcia?
And now, for the one thing, there was two, but the very first of the two things that made this week's episode of Dynamite tolerable, and this is our MJF promo. Coming down to the ring, very, very somber, very calm, very slow, the complete opposite of what we're used to when we're seeing MJF come down for a promo.
Yeah, then he goes into telling this long-winded, long story of being the outcast, quote, don't cancel me, internet, Jew boy of Long Island playing football. On and on, getting quarters thrown at him, and very beat up and sad and terrible bouts of ADHD or ADD and everything like that and blah, blah, blah. And he loved pro wrestling and, I mean, really just yanking at the heartstrings. But it was great. It was very MJF. It was told very well. But it was very long and very like, where are we going here?
I'm just smiling from ear to ear right now because we're completely switching roles on this one here. You're like, blah blah blah, shut the fuck up, pick up your quarters, you idiot. and I'm like, this is probably the most real feeling promo I've heard out of MJF.
Now I say that starting here, but where he takes me to in this whole story is really because what the problem for me is I think I'm smarter than the shit, right? I think I'm smarter than the show itself. I talk about pro wrestling on the internet, people. I record myself in my basement talking about pro wrestling. I think I know it all. So I'm
one step above excrement.
I'm waiting for the screw. I'm waiting for him to turn the screw and flip the script on me. What's he going to, because this isn't MJF. This hasn't been his character for over 2 years. Where are we going with this? So what, he's trying to give us a baby face? Then you're waiting for him to be like, and then I said, screw you, and the whole thing. And that's why I hate you fans or something like that, right? And to really turn the knob. He never takes us there. And
he kept us completely surprised and on our toes.
And that's where I ended up starting was like, I'm doing this. I'm looking at Wordle. I'm living my life. I'm listening to him talk, and I'm going, okay, get to the point. There is no point. I mean, there is no big ta-da. Like, he's playing the long game. You got to wait till, really at the end of it, you got to wait till next week or the pay-per-view to figure out where we're going.
And I hate to keep dwelling on how quote unquote real this felt. But at one point, you see him getting choked up. His voice is cracking. This is me again thinking I'm as smart as the business. Him itching his nose and then kind of tearing up. I'm thinking he's got smelling salts on his finger or something, because he was just into it 100%. And to make this even better, somebody on Twitter went all the way back to when MJF dropped out of college, and his Facebook post that he made dated Max Friedman, blah, 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 with a picture of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson saying he loves football, but he's not going to give up on his wrestling dream for football. And that was his announcement to drop out of college. So, like, all this has such, if it's not 100% true, has an element of truth to it. And then the fucking nail in the coffin right here, CM Punk comes down to the ring in street clothes with no music, gets into the ring, and he is very soft and somber looking also, and off mic. It's the details that matter, Brian.
Yeah.
Off mic, but loud enough for us to hear, says, was that real? Was that the truth? And MJF with fucking tears in his eyes says, it's true. Nods out of the ring and cut to black. It's a wrap.
Yeah, no skirmish between those two. He goes on about CM Punk left him, he left us, and then he does this and da 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 da, and you were just going, and I kept waiting for him to be, and that's when I said, fuck you, waiting for the big like, and nothing. Then CM Punk, even when he comes out, I was still waiting for like, okay, turns into wrestling here in a minute, right? Wardlow is gonna get involved, or Sean Spears, and no.
No. Tony Khan, what's that dickhead that QT Marshall, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, none of them had their fingers on the pencil for the writing of this segment.
No.
This was all CM Punk and MJF teaching a master class, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was it. It was as simple as that. So Hats off to you, MJF. I kept thinking I had you. It's going to turn here, but I don't know what we're watching or what we're seeing. If he's working a twist from heel to babyface himself, if he's just going to, who knows? But it makes you want to tune in next week and buy the pay-per-view. I'll give 50.
He's got me by the balls right now.
I'm going to give him $50 just so I can figure out what the hell this is all about.
And we did get a "I'm better than you and you know it" out of MJF towards CM Punk, but it was a more of "you screwed me over and now I'm going to show you, Dad."
Yeah, it was "I'm the best in the world," and his slogan is "I'm better than you." And so is that who you's always been? Is the you been CM Punk?
We shall see, and we shall empty our wallets to find out. But then we go to the back, and then we have Danny Garcia and 2.0 just saying they don't need Bryan Danielson. Danny Garcia knows everything about violence.
Sure, wonderful. And we move on to 3 idiots.
And then we're back to AEW. We're back to Kenny Omega and the Bucks and Tony Khan all writing together. And lights go out in the arena, Brian, because here comes the House of Black. Here comes Malachi Black and Brody King. They will be taking on Pac and the Penta-Taker.
Yeah, did they
AKA Penta Oscuro.
Did they change Penta's name again?
Apparently, I was actually paying attention, surprisingly, to this thing. I guess that's kind of a gimmick he had when he wanted to be evil or dark, kind of like Finn Balor.
Okay. Gotcha. I was like,
so
they kept saying Penta El Scaro or whatever it was, and I was like, what? I'm like, he was Pentagon, and then they were like, AAA's like, no, we own the word Pentagon. and they're like, I'll be Pentagon Jr., and they're like, Penta El Cerro, and then they were calling him this, but I didn't catch that part, so that made sense. It was right. I was watching it, and that was right when my family came walking in the door. Was during this match, so I probably got drowned out of that. It was lucky I could just keep focus on what was happening, let alone the details.
Yeah, little Espanol lesson right here. Oscuro means dark in Spanish, so it's Penta Dark. He was wearing, his old gimmick was black. He's standing in front of a tombstone. Alex, his manager, is dressed like goddamn Count Dracula with his face painted and everything.
So that explains that part as well. I was very confused about that gimmick. So now this whole thing's really coming. All this thing's really coming together for me now.
And then in true AEW fashion, we get brawling between the two teams, and we even get a crossbody onto the House of Black from Penta-Taker. And this is all before the bell even rings.
Yeah, they did the old patented AEW. The referee can't ring the bell until 2 men are standing in opposite corners from each other, looking at each other. That's the rules. I got to abide by them here. So yeah. I hate that shit.
Brody ends up getting flung into the corner. Malachi Black, 5'2" Malachi Black on the floor, not even on the apron, jumps up to tag Brody's shoulder. So, A, it's a back slap. B, he's not even on the apron. He's on the goddamn floor.
Nowhere near a tag rope.
This tag counts.
Yeah. We got our homie D-Star here popping up in the chat here on YouTube. Says Tony Khan keeps promoting massive things, which end up being a giant letdown. And, well, couldn't have said it better myself, but you said it, so God bless you there, D-Star. Keep the comments rolling as we chat about the night of AEW here.
Yeah, and I hate to be a stickler about tags, but that Malachi one was just so blatant. Such the most illegal tag I've ever seen in my entire history of watching wrestling. This thing was just a big turd. Just kind of generic wrestling all through and through until Malachi Black tries to mist Penta-Taker here. Penta covers Malachi's mouth, forcing Malachi to swallow his own juices, and then and then Malachi is pinned by Penta here.
We missed the best move of the night, Eric, was for some reason Pac was on Penta's shoulders or whatever, one way or another, and Brody King chops him so hard that he Hurricane Rana's his own partner as they're on each other's shoulders.
I don't know how I missed that. I genuinely did not see that. I
Oh
wish I had.
my God. It was either Pac was on Penta or Penta was on Pac. He gives a chop, and Brody King is so strong that if he hits you, you'll flip back and you'll just give your partner a poison Rana. It was so stupid. You would crush somebody's rib cage if you hit them that hard to throw the person whose shoulders they're on.
Yeah, that much centrifugal force to fucking flip two people 8 feet in the air. Great. I love it. And then we move on with more of the gimmicky shit here. We got Pentataker is in the middle of the ring here. Malachi goes and grabs the shovel, and he is going to chop Penta's head off with this shovel, Brian. He's got the spaded shovel. He's got it lined up with Penta's throat, and he's raising it up. There's only one way this is going to go, a beheading on live TV.
I mean, right here on TBS.
And then the lights go out. And when those lights come back on, Brian, who is in the ring?
That one guy that got fired from WWE that wrestled in the mid-card.
Murphy.
There you go.
Or he was Buddy Murphy, and then he was Murphy, and then he was Buddy. I don't know. But either way, now he is announced as Buddy Matthews, and we're all supposed to know who Buddy Matthews is. We act like, once again, excrement just assumes we all do nothing but sit in our mom's basement and watch wrestling all week long.
I sit in my own basement. But and then JR, his comment, he's like, if he signed AEW, that's a hell of a signing. He's there in your ring in wrestling gear. I mean, does that mean I can just pop into the ring and stand there? And he's like, hey, that guy signed. Son of a bitch. Like, is that how you get signed? You just show up and jump in the ring? Like, that kind of would lead fans maybe down a wrong way of thinking, maybe. I know this is like...
Right.
If you're an independent wrestler out there, you want to get signed to AEW, show up in the ring, beat up somebody. It's just the way it goes.
Just show up. We'll turn off the lights for you.
Yeah, like the lights went out. They came on. We should have went, this must be a new member of the House of Black. Even if you don't want to jump to the AEW thing, right? Is he a full-time here in AEW? He's just a member of the House of Black? Just go with it. But it was just stupid, JR.
Yeah. And then this is just these fans, Brian. These fans are so neglected of good wrestling. The entire arena for Buddy goddamn Murphy, the entire arena is chanting, holy shit. This guy never made it past mid-card in WWE, and he flopped and floundered as a mid-carder.
With Seth Rollins giving him Seth Rollins gave him the goddamn Midas touch and said, come with me, kid, and tapped him on the head, and nobody still gave a shit.
But with All Elite badge behind his name now, Buddy Murphy is All Elite. Holy shit. My skin is melting off of my face.
What can we do?
How can I handle this?
This comment where we're at right here fits in perfectly with the homie D-Star popping in the chat again. He says, Tony Khan is the type of guy to hint that he's getting you the brand new iPhone, but then he shows up with a Nokia 3310. Shows up with he's like, I'm going to get you that new hot phone, son. And then he shows up with that Nokia 3310, boy.
Buddy Murphy is a BlackBerry in a fucking in an iPhone world.
The BlackBerry. Use my BlackBerry Messenger.
So either way, Buddy Matthews, Murphy, whatever the hell you want to call him, beats up Pac and Pentataker, and Buddy Murphy is House of Black. Lights go out. House of Black is gone. Oh, and those lights stayed out a very uncomfortable amount of time. I don't know if
for the third time
hobble out of the ring or call a Uber. it took him forever to get out of the goddamn ring.
The lights went out 3 times in this match, from the beginning, middle, and end. I was like, I'm enough with the lights out gimmick here, guys. It's about a wrap on that.
And then we move on to the number 2 reason that makes this show tolerable. The 2 best things in this episode, Brian, had nothing to do with physical wrestling.
Yeah. I know exactly where you're going, but we'll walk right into it here.
We got Eddie Kingston making his way to the ring, and he ain't no schlub. He sees the security that just got beat up by Brody King, sees them all lined up in the ring, and he's mocking them, and what the hell is this stuff going on? And then Chris Jericho makes his way to the ring, and the crowd, although, is Jericho still a heel, or is he a babyface? Whatever the hell he is, the crowd loves singing him to the ring.
Crowd loves singing him to the ring, and I want to know, how does Chris Jericho morph his body from one image to another? One episode of AEW Dynamite, he looks terrible. He looks out of shape. And this week he comes out slim and trim. The son of a bitch got abs. 2 weeks ago, you can pull him up. Was that part of the gimmick? Was he trying to go for like the old, like, was he like bloating up before he would go wrestle and wear clothes that didn't fit but he looked like $1 million last night.
Yeah. He's lost a lot of weight, slim and trim.
It's just weird. I don't understand how he does it. I want to know how he can crash diet like that, or does he drink a bunch of beer before his other matches and was all bloated? What was up?
He's the Christian Bale of wrestling. There,
Yeah.
can just transform his body on a moment's notice.
Shit the bed.
This thing, Eddie Kingston, just a master of promos. Chris Jericho isn't so bad himself, but Kingston is not interested in talking because this is not a sports entertainment company. This is a wrestling company.
Yeah, why don't you take yourself up the street to your friends there? And I still love how Eddie Kingston dresses like it's 2004. He's got Tim's on, sweatpants, not just sweatpants either. He's got cargo sweatpants on, guy. He's got his wallet in them side pockets. He's got a long sleeve tee on and his fitted hat on. I mean, I ain't mad at him. I'm like, God damn, that's a hot outfit. He got that drip.
Even in 2004, the only place they sold cargo sweatpants was Burlington Coat Factory. So Eddie Kingston be getting them deals.
Be hollering at Summit Place Mall. You might hit up Max Greens.
But Jericho has never heard of Eddie Kingston before he arrived in AEW because he looks like a jobber. Yeah, pretty solid line right there, because Kingston's gut in his ring attire.
I'm telling you, he just needs to wrestle in his sweatpants and Timbs. I don't know what he's doing.
He's an updated Brooklyn Brawler lookalike.
But these two can go back and forth. Jericho can talk. We all know he can. Whether you hate where Jericho's gone with his professional wrestling, you can't take away from what he can do. And still, he's tried other shit, and he's gone this way and that way and reinvent himself, and some of them sucked and whatever. But he's still Chris Jericho, and he can still talk at the end of the day if he puts his mind to it. And he was in that mode last night.
And the only thing, he can talk. He's entertaining when he talks. It's just Jericho's always trying to do something to attempt to be innovative, whether it's saying GFY and trademarking that, or now he's the influencer. And in this promo in particular, he's dropping inside terms just left and right. He uses jobber. He uses promos. He uses getting over. He uses babyface. He's just using all these inside terms that wrestlers were forbidden using for so long. And we all know what they mean. But again, this just goes back to, we all know the shit's already exposed. But like, as a performer, why are you doing your best to expose things even more?
I see that. I also kind of took this, the angle that I saw this through was these were. I forgot that they were. I felt like a fly on the wall in a locker room is what it felt like to me. These were two guys. These were the wrestlers talking in a locker room feel. It wasn't. They weren't out there performing and cutting promos for the audience. These were just two guys.
Right.
It was about them. It wasn't about the crowd reaction. So you kind of forgot about what was happening, that it was in the ring, that it was part of the show. You're like, oh, man, these two are like, I don't know. It just kind of took them, just brought it right there. They weren't talking to the camera. They weren't talking to the crowd. They were just talking to each other. So by them using these, quote, inside terms, you just felt like you were like somewhere you weren't supposed to be and listening to a conversation you're not supposed to hear almost. So just a little different thought.
Yeah, and to bring even more realism to it, of just this was a conversation, this was a locker room conversation presented in front of an audience and TV cameras here. Eddie Kingston pointing out that he won't let Jericho leech off of him and use his fame to get himself over. And that had such a hint of realism, because as a Cornette fan, ever since Jericho got involved with AEW, ever since the very beginning, Cornette is always talking about who can Jericho leech onto and steal his fame, whether it's MJF, whether it's Jungle Boy, whether it's Cody Rhodes, it's whoever's hot at the time. Jericho has to leech onto him.
Sure. And I did like how they had, again, those inside terms talking about that they were, you can take it up the street to your friends up there, and Jericho states like, maybe I'll go up to Stanford or something like that, and blah blah blah. So those were fun. And then they even have one at the end. So as we get close to the end of this, we'll bring up some more of the inside terms. But I was drawn right into listening to this whole thing. These two knuckleheads going back and forth.
Oh yeah, they did great. And Eddie's facial expressions are just perfect. Him talking off the mic, that was kind of like the theme this week for promos. When you're saying shit not on mic, you don't realize it, but it's tapping into your psyche of that feels a lot more real, because he's not performing it on a mic like, hey audience,
And
don't talk about my family like that. When he says it off the mic, watch yourself.
Watch
Like-
yourself. But you can still catch it. It's that little, the little details were catching me on this. I was digging it. And then Eddie, like, he looked like that dude that you could catch on the street beefing, because he would laugh like, he just starts laughing. He's like, this motherfucker, he's gonna say this. Like, he's like a little crazy. Like, he had that, like, I don't know, you've just seen people kind of not know how to control their emotions, and he would kind of laugh, and then then he would laugh, and then he'd be like, don't do it. Eyes would get all big, and he'd slow his talk down, like, after he started laughing. So it was like, there was a lot of emotion involved between, like, it was, again, I gave this just tuned right in and just soaked it all up, going, I could watch these two idiots the rest of the night. Screw the rest of this.
Yeah, this was real Eddie Kingston. He used the term dog like 332 times.
The best to me
At
was
one
when he
point
said,
saying,
I think you were just going to say it. Go ahead.
where he says, I'm a different type of cat, dog. And I'm like, Nickelodeon for the win, baby.
That was the one I was going for, when he was like, I'm a different type of cat, dog. And I was like, I said cat and dog, like, back to back. The irony of that, like, quote was amazing to me. I loved it.
And Kingston, he's going to get a match with Jericho. He's going to get it at Revolution, but he doesn't want pussy Jericho. He wants that real Jericho, that hungry Jericho that changes the game, that Jericho that his buddy Levesque hated.
Yeah. That was the last one that, like, tapped into it, right, of the inside gimmicks. Also, he said some things that we've stated over the years here. The many episodes we've done, almost 100 we're pushing at, folks. When he was like, we don't want the Jericho that fought in the Mimosa match. We don't want the Jericho that fell off of a ring because MJF pushed him. Like, all the silly shit that Jericho did, he was like, I don't want that shit. Don't come at me. I'm a different type of cat, dog.
I thought he kind of missed an opportunity, but it might have exposed things too much. I don't want the Jericho that fell off the top of the cage into a crash pad.
Yeah. Yeah,
That would have been great.
he said it loose enough where he was like, where the one where where MJF pushed you off of a cage, like use the term pushed, very loose and very airy.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get a great match between these two. A real feeling match, and hopefully Jericho can perform. He is in great condition compared to what we've seen of him recently, and hopefully Eddie's been working on his cardio, and we can get a decent match out of these two.
Yeah, what I think even was like a little Freudian slip there that you had is you didn't know what to say. You like, we're gonna get a great because you know what they did? They didn't AEW this, and they didn't give it some wacky-ass stipulation. It's not in a giant 2-ring cage. It's not in a vat of mimosas isn't involved in this. There's no blindfolds. There's no one-legged crutches. There's nothing. It's just two cats are going to fight, dog.
Yeah. Oh, and it's not even a silly street fight or a football fuckery cars on the field match. None of that.
It is just, like I said, there was no gimmick. So I think when you were like, we're going to get a good, I guess we're just going to get a good match.
And yeah, hopefully that'll be a good match, which would be the complete opposite of the next match we got on this episode. We get the face of the I'm sorry.
The face
I
of
want to get this right. Face of the Revolution qualifying match between Ricky Starks, the FTW champion, and they talk about it like it's real thing now. And he is taking on 10 from the Dark Order. And my notes for this match include the following line: Ricky Starks wins.
Yeah. Mine follow with if Ricky Starks is going to win. And then I stopped watching. I didn't have to. I wouldn't even just skip right past it.
Screw 10. Screw the Dark Order. It just needs to be ripped up and thrown away.
That, and then they make a big deal about this qualifying match when you put, like, you didn't even put two jobbers together. I mean, this is Ricky Starks.
Right.
Eventually, he's going to, his rocket's lit, but eventually it's going to go into overdrive. Like, so that's simple as that. So, with that being said, like, you put a guy that's on his way up, no questions asked. Like, if he would have thrown, say it was Ethan Page, all ego Ethan Page versus 10, you're like, wow, I guess either one of these knuckleheads could win. Right? And then you watch the next round, so you go, okay, but they put people on two different levels to fight, and you go, well, Ricky Starks wins. Fast forward.
Right. Why would you put a squash match and then make a big deal out of calling it the Face of the Revolution qualifying match? If you're putting something on the line, so to speak, maybe get two guys that belong in the ring together.
Yeah, and 10 wears a mask, so how can his face be the face of the revolution?
Duh.
Logistics don't line up.
We go backstage, and we got more beef going on between Red Dragon and the Young Bucks, and Adam Cole is just so frustrated at this point. He has to focus on his match with the other Adam. He can't be dealing with the Red Dragon and the Young Bucks bullshit.
Why did he yell at the Young Bucks? He yelled at Red Dragon like they were his stepkids. He's like, I need you two to get along with those two. Why didn't he be like, yo, Bucks, get along with my homies? Like, it didn't go the other way. Why do they get to run around like dickheads and be mad at Red Dragon?
They're EVPs, Brian.
Duh.
Get in on the game.
Duh. You can't be mad at the guys who have nothing to do with your check.
Next, we got Jade Cargill. She is defending her TBS Women's Championship against the Bunny, who gets no entrance, no ring music. She's just standing in the corner like a fucking goof.
Yeah. She's in the corner of the ring like an asshole, and here's Jade Cargill gets a full-on Undertaker entrance. Takes about a year and a half to come down there. She gets a belt that's designed and given to her I mean, it's designed for. It was originally designed for her. The whole thing.
It was designed with her in mind, 100%.
You called it from the beginning. And then she goes and changes her hair color to green. It doesn't even match her goddamn belt anymore.
Yeah, she changes her hair color to match her experience level. Green is frog shit. And and she proves it during this match. This girl is so not ready for TV. And she's being pushed to the moon. And this match was just shitty, clunky. You got Jade Cargill doing the most basic of moves and doing them very slowly and very methodically to try and get them right. And then she has the nerve to have a cocky attitude after pulling off a fucking hip toss and just flexing and just smiling the entire time. She is just so happy to be there. And it's just the it's like her first day of wrestling school every time she's on TV.
Yeah, I could care less for her style. It doesn't draw me in. Her look, none of it. It's just like, it just doesn't resonate with me. I just can zone right out and push right past it. I don't buy into the hype of the look how big and strong she is. It's like, all right, cool. Look how big and strong Brian Cage is, and let us know where.
Yeah. And the smile, I could get it. If you got a cocky heel, if you got Bryan Danielson, he likes to smile after he does a move. It's a cocky heel thing. But the smile Jade Cargill delivers is not a cocky heel smile. It's a look what I did.
Yeah.
I did it. Look at me.
Like,
when she's just so happy she pulled something off.
When Danielson does it, he gives you that smile where it's like, I'm not even looking. Like, he might as well like get out his phone and play Wordle while he's putting your arm in a knot, right? He's got you tied up into a submission hold, and he's over there going, I got an E in this word. Is it the beginning or the end? Where's it go? He doesn't even have to focus on it.
Thank God I saw this on Twitter so I could point it out. Because this actually happened during a picture-in-picture commercial break. But Jade Cargill, what is her gimmick right now? What's the gimmick she's pushing? It's that she's undefeated and she's going to run through the entire women's division and nobody can beat her. And what does Jade Cargill do, Brian? The fucking idiot forgets to kick out of a bunny pin.
Of a bunny pin. It makes it sound so soft and cuddly. Like, I want a bunny pin.
And the only thing you can give Cargill Hill is maybe she was a little loopy because Bunny hit her with a fucking forearm that looked like it rocked her. But Bunny pins Cargill 1, 2, and Ref Aubrey's hand comes down and just stops. And Cargill had not moved a muscle. And so, yeah, Ref Aubrey completely exposing the business right there. The rule in wrestling, you count. If you don't lift your shoulders, you count, and you just take it from there. You gotta innovate and improvise and come up with something new, but not Ref Aubrey.
Yeah,
Cargill was not supposed to lose, so she won't count the 3.
That happened on AEW, like probably in the very beginning. I remember Pac does a 450 moonsault backflip splash onto somebody. The ref counts. The guy never kicks out. The ref goes 1, 2, and calls it at 2. And the guy just like this lane, and then Pac just puts him into a. You can tell the ref just fucked up, and the Pac put him in some submission hold thing, and then supposedly tapped out from there. And it was like, wow, you just had no idea what's going on, and robotic. You're on live TV, guy. You got to make this look like something.
Yeah. So, yeah, thank God that happened during the commercial break, but somebody put it on Twitter, and I don't know what broadcast it was on because JR was commentating over it, and it was audible. But, yeah, Cargill forgets to kick out of a bunny pen, but Ref Aubrey saves the day. And then we get a weird little weapon spot. We got Matt Hardy sliding brass knuckles to the bunny. We got Smart Mark Sterling sliding the belt to Jade Cargill here. Ref Aubrey just completely being a goof, swinging her arms around in circles to kick Matt Hardy and Mark Sterling out of the ring. And then, I don't even know. Cargill hits Bunny's brass knuckles with the belt and ends up getting the pin. Cuts a awkward Goldberg-esque promo complete with a who's next. And it was just so cringy, Brian. Every hair, every pore on my body was raised into goosebump status because of how cringy Jade Cargill's promo is.
Yeah. She's just too early. She's too early.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would ever be good, but she's not going to get the respect that the fans want. I don't know. I say that, and then, like, fucking they pop for Buddy Lee. So, like, who am I to judge that fucking Buddy the Elf can get over in AEW? And I'm, so Jade Cargill might too, but for me, no. It's a loss, and I think it's just too early and don't care. Simple as that.
Just every aspect of Jade Cargill's heel run here, all the way down to every episode, Cargill is supposed to be that bitch. She's supposed to be here to kick everyone's ass and nobody can touch her, and she's the heeliest heel woman in the world. But every episode, it's, oh, look at Jade Cargill's little daughter and her baby daddy.
Right.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh, what kind of what the fuck? It's completely counterintuitive to what a heel is. Look at my baby. She's so cute.
Yeah, like, I'm going to murder you. I'm that bitch. Here's my daughter. You're like, huh?
Watch mommy wrestle.
I'm that bitch, kid. Like, I don't know.
It's just
No matter what.
Expose. It's just
And no matter what, like, we both hate her, so no matter what she does, it's gonna hate it. She could shit gold pellets and be like, that sucks.
And long story short, Tay Conti comes out after Jade Cargill says, "Who's next?" As a matter of fact, who's left? And
Ooh.
Tay Conti says, "I'm gonna kick your ass, bitch." And we're gonna get a Tay Conti Jade Cargill match, so that'll be a nice little poop break for a Revolution.
Yeah, Revolution, giving you a smoke break, go outside, order a pizza, take your dog for a walk. You should have a little bit. And knowing AEW, it's not WWE's cool-down matches. This will be an AEW cool-down match. A WWE cool-down match would be about 2.5 minutes, and that's total in the ring time. AEW is going to be about 15. So you got time, people. Take your time. They're going to put on about a 6.5 hours of pay-per-view. So feel free to get up, bake a ham, smoke.
Everybody in the company has to get a Iron Man match in fucking AEW.
Go out and smoke a brisket during this match. This Tay Conti, Jade Cargill. You got your time. Come back in about 15.5 hours. It'll be perfect.
And then we shoot to the back again, and we've got Big Keith Lee there. And now we have Willie Hobbs and Ricky Starks approaching. And God damn it, Brian. Everybody wants to see Keith Lee and Willie Hobbs in a match. They're going to give it to us way too early. If I understand correctly, Ricky Starks kind of hinted that we're going to get Hobbs and Keith Lee at Revolution.
Oh, I figured we are going to get it Friday, tomorrow night on fucking Rampage.
Why? They could milk a Keith Lee, Willie Hobbs face-off for 6 months.
Oh,
and it would be the biggest thing on an AEW TV screen.
But they couldn't stay focused on it that long. That's the problem.
It's just like, oh my God, we have two behemoths in the same company. They have to fight right now.
Right now. I'm surprised they're not.
You know how much merch they could sell. There's so much opportunity to milk this thing for all it's worth before you give it to people. And they're just going to, there you go.
They could lead it up with some old school, like, strength shit in the ring, like a bench press thing, or because these two are just huge, so like they just go lift up shit and do like weird promo things in the ring and challenging people, and like remember what was it the Ultimate Warrior and Dino Bravo doing their push-up thing back in the day, and all that workout shit, and Dino Bravo bench pressing 500 pounds or some nonsense. All that shit. Like, you could do that and challenge these two knuckleheads and blah, 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 but nope, they're just going to have them fight in 2 weeks.
And that'll be that, and then anyone else Keith Lee fights, it'll be anticlimactic. Unless, I don't know, I think he'd be great against Miro or something like that, but when the hell is that going to happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, shit, he's only been in the company for 3 weeks now, and he's only fought Isaiah Cassidy.
Yeah, and then he went on his honeymoon.
So, gotta go. Sorry, guys. I need some time off.
And with that, we move into our main event, Brian. After we get a little face-off between Keith Lee and Willie Goddamn Hobbs, our main event tonight is Bryan Danielson versus Daniel Garcia.
I understand part of this. And part of it, I mean, it's just, sorry, Cherry Garcia, this is just a jobber put over match, just to make Danielson keep looking like $1 million.
Yeah, and I think there's a little more to it. I think Jerry Garcia does have some talent.
Sure.
And he falls into the same category as Lee Moriarty. He's a lower level guy that the CM Punks and the Bryan Danielsons of the world like, and they want to give him a little rub, but it's not a main event match by any means.
Now, at least they main evented it, just on the Dynamite. I mean, AEW might put this on Rampage, or not Rampage. God bless, it'd be even better over there. This could have been the Revolution. Double or nothing.
Yeah.
Revolution. This could have been pushed hard for a pay-per-view, so at least they kept it on free TV, and it would have been even better if they would have thrown it on Friday night, which would have been fine with me as well. Yeah, so that's just that. My thought on that.
And as far as this match went, I think it went as well as it could have. It was perfectly written for what it was. The whole point of this thing was for Bryan Danielson to teach Jerry Garcia a lesson in violence, and he did just that. Garcia didn't get in too much offense. He got in a little here and there, never got a string of moves together more than one or two. And this whole match was pretty much Bryan Danielson stretching Jerry Garcia and putting him into submissions. And but then Excalibur, he had to Excalibur this thing up. We're ramping up to a commercial break here, and Excalibur says, "You won't miss a minute." Or I'm sorry, I'll start over. "You won't miss a moment of this dream match." Who?
I didn't know Jerry Garcia existed up to 2 months ago.
Yeah. Who on Twitter, please, somebody tell me this was your dream match. This is a match you've been dying to see for years on end. Oh boy, I can't wait to see Bryan Danielson and Jerry Garcia.
Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega. Bryan Danielson, Adam Page. Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole. Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. Sure, I'll accept all of those, and we're even stretching the limits with an Adam Page in there. But God bless, he's the champion and he's done what he's done. But we could go on. Bryan Danielson and Keith Lee.
The list is endless.
But Jerry Garcia isn't even
me.
on the top 100.
Just imagine interviewing somebody, a classic wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin, fucking Scotty Too Hotty, The Rock. What is your dream match? What can't you wait to see? I can't wait to see Bryan Danielson take on Jerry Garcia.
Or the opposite.
Nobody. The words have never been uttered by anybody.
Or even on the other end of that conversation, you get Stone Cold on this podcast and you go, who would you like to fight? You got to get the Stone Cold hands, though, right? Because I've been watching the Stone Cold, what the hell's his name of his show there on Peacock? But anyways.
Broken Skull.
The Broken Skull sessions where his hands are always. So, but who would you like to fight in the current roster of professional wrestling these days. From any promotion, Steve, who are you going to fight? And he's like, I tell you what, kid, you know who I'm going to fight? And this is a shoot. This ain't a work. This ain't Jerry Garcia.
Holy shit.
I tell you what, kid. No, he doesn't want to fight him. You don't even know who he is. You couldn't shine my shoes, you shithead.
But in Excalibur's world, because we're all just living in it, Brian, on Wednesday nights, Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia is the dream match.
Just what, a fever dream?
Exactly. Did you put a fucking nicotine patch on your nutsack and you fucking
like, who cares? This guy.
Either way, Bryan Danielson wins with a triangle sleeper, as expected.
While posing. And the whole thing,
Yes.
this whole thing is to get you to the end of the match for a moment, because last week in Dynamite, Moxley says he won't team with anybody or partner with anybody till he bleeds with somebody, meaning him and Danielson are not going to be partners and help each other out in the professional wrestling world until they get in the ring and beat the hell out of each other. So these two get their little promo, blah, blah, blah. Moxley beats up 2.0 first, and then they get into their little promo. But that's all it was leading us to. Also, Danielson said that he would have his answer for Jon Moxley after his match with Dickhead Garcia.
And, lo and behold, Danielson was getting beat up by 2.0, and Mox saved his ass. He came out there, and the commentators are like, does this mean we have our answer? And lo and behold, these two, Danielson and Mox, will fight at Revolution. And Danielson, being the cocky asshole he is, says, don't be surprised if you're the only one bleeding, Mox.
Yeah, and he even took the chair and threw it and said, I don't need one of these to make you bleed. Blah, blah, blah. I'm so good. But this will be a good match. I think I have faith in this one. I have faith. The pay-per-view actually seems to be shaping up fairly well. Lots of potential.
It's gonna be quite interesting.
Lots of potential. Now they can take an AEW right in the middle of the ring on some of this, but they usually come correct with their pay-per-views. It's these free things, these weekly shows is where they really derail, but the pay-per-views, they usually hold things together for the most part.
And I do have one question, though, Brian. This just popped into my head. So we're pushing Jade Cargill and Tay Conti. The TBS Women's Championship is the secondary belt.
Yeah, so as of the moment, the Women's Championship is not being defended?
What the hell's going on with Britt Baker? This pay-per-view is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Britt wasn't even
Week and a half.
Britt wasn't even on the show this week, was she?
No, this is the road to Revolution, goddammit. And Britt Baker's nowhere to be seen. Your actual women's champion is off TV, but we've got 2.0 on TV in multiple segments. And Jade Cargill smiling because she's happy to be there.
And they're going to put the TNT Championship up over this. So, yeah, maybe next week you get an answer, but I wouldn't hold your breath. But next week's your last opportunity for an answer on this.
So we will see what happens. And but yeah, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Dynamite.
That's a wrap on this week's episode of Dynamite. This week's episode of the KayFabe Smark podcast. That was episode 91. Make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube, like and share the podcast, leave some comments, get involved in the conversation. Hop on over to Instagram, TikTok, etc., and so on. Like and subscribe, share, have some fun, talk professional wrestling. And, Eric, what do you got for us?
That's about that for this episode. So for you, Brian Rappa, for the Snooze and Pitbull, Stella Marie, and for myself, all I got to say is hooty hoo, we out the gates.